your review of the quarterbacks so far.
Yeah.
Do you want to break them down individually, but how have you felt they've done so far?
I mean, I think first and foremost, they're handling the competition really well. You know, they're going out there, controlling what they can control, not worrying about everything else, who goes first one day, who goes first the next. So right there, you're showing each one of your quarterbacks is professional about the situation. They grind and they're willing to push each other, but also help each other out, and I think that's very mature for a bunch of young guys.
The catch you had with Tyler today, the one where you kind of streaked across, like, what worked well there? Was there like a level of patience involved for him?
I mean, I think there's patience. I think there's trust, obviously, from our offensive line, being able to gear down, give him a clean pocket, and you got our opposite receiver that's, taking the top off. A bunch of selfless play, on that play, and at the end of the day, he made a great throw. And then, that's what we're out there to do is make plays, and so you've seen that from everybody.
I don't think we would have picked you to have the first fight of camp, but what was your kind of reaction?
I don't get it twisted now. But no, I think at the end of the day, you just, it's competition. Once you go in between those lines, ain't no friends. I think that breeds the best out of one another. Once you get outside those white lines, it's a family, it's a brotherhood. But inside, I mean, everybody doubting us, and so that's the type of fire that we got to come out here in camp in this heat, being ready to compete, and push each other to the limits.
Organizing, the guys to come out, is that something that's been an evolution of your career in recent years, or something you recognize because it's young quarterbacks on this?
No, I've been fortunate enough to be in a position to be able to do that, in my recent years and earlier. I think it's important anytime you can get together outside of the building. Obviously, it's mandatory to be together inside the building, but when you can show that brotherhood, that camaraderie outside the building, I think that shows that you care about one another. So when you go out there on the field, you know each other's why, you spend that time together in the off season, and you build that connection. I think that's where great teams are formed outside the building.
You just hit on it, but anything stand out from those trips? Whether it was like a certain meal or just throwing out there, what kind of about that camaraderie stood out to you?
I think the biggest thing that stood out was just the willingness to come out. Obviously, it was in Oregon, a lot of guys out south on the East Coast and whatnot, but showing that willingness to come out and spend those couple of days with one another, so close to camp, shows the willingness to get better and spend time with one another.
How long did y'all spend up in Oregon training?
We're there 3 days. Yeah, it was at Nike, the headquarters. That's the beauty of being there in Oregon. Nike's in your backyard. So, that they show great hospitality. Got on the lake and whatnot, showed them boys what Pacific Northwest all about. So, yeah, it was about 3 days.
This group, you and Chris and Rashid, that's a group that can run. Have you been in a group, maybe that fast overall, 1, 2, 3?
I mean, yeah, you named 3 people, but I mean, guys, this whole room can run. And so being a part of, Tip and all those guys, Kev, every single guy in this room can run. And to be able to say I've been a part of a group that run like this, that's going to be hard to come by because them guys are rolling. But it's definitely fun because that shows everybody can be at a different position. You never know, which one guy's going to do. So, and that's all of us.
What has struck you about Rashid Shaheed?
Man, it's a loaded question because it seems like he's doing everything well, but I think the work ethic that, coming off the injury from last year, seeing what he's built over the offseason, the muscle that he put on, and still being able to run at that high level is very impressive.
I mean, look, the NFL, there's a lot of you guys who can run, right? But he almost seems like one of those guys that even among NFL guys, he can run.
He can run, and he can run routes. And I think that's one thing, people will leave out, like, no question. He can take the top off, but he's running some of the best routes out there as well. And so when you got that combination, you're looking like a deadly weapon.
Both he and Chris are significantly younger than you. Have you, tried to give them as much wisdom as you can right now?
Not that much younger.
Well.
But no, I mean, no, on the serious note, I think at the end of the day, I can only bestow upon them, what I've learned over my years. The great thing is they're special at football. They know what they're doing at a high level. But if I can just give them 1% on how to take care of their body, how to go about the game professionally, I've done my job because there's nothing I'm going to add to their game on the field that they're not already doing. But off the field, I think that's my position as well, to be able to lead in that aspect, not only just make plays, but continue to build the guys up around me.
Rashid said that he went to you about, adding weight but still being as fast. what did you tell him? Like, what was kind of the advice there?
I think the biggest thing is when you add that, at the same time, never getting away from your track background. And obviously, as you know, his track background is lengthy. His two sisters, obviously, one state in California. His dad been coaching him in track forever. So while you're putting on that weight, also still being technical about your track background and doing those drills throughout the offseason, you seeing that show up.
Brandin, I'm sure you're aware of Chris's injury history and what he went through the last year or so. Can you empathize with him going back out there, and have you had conversations with him about the mindset that he's having to take going into this year?
Unfortunately, I've been through that early on in my career, back-to-back years, multiple, right? But I think, once again, this is what I talked about, off the field, how I can help him. Some of those things that you can do to be able to hone in, cognitively. And I think he's picking up on that. But at the end of the day, going out there playing fearless is going to be the most important thing. The more you think about it, obviously, that's when things show up. And I think he's doing that already in practice. He's not talking about it. And obviously, at the end of the day, it's all about the game. But I think he's going to be well prepared. He got a great grasp on it.
When you went through that yourself, was there a part of you that wanted to get a big hit out of the way, or is that you don't want to get hit?
Yeah, you don't want to get no big hit, but if it comes, it comes with the game, and so instead of having that anxiety about it, whatever the case may be, just knowing, accepting that it's gonna come with the game, and then everything else will kind of, take care of itself.
Is it important to get down to some degree? Is that?
It depends on what the situation is. You know what I mean? You know your game. You know what you're trying to pick up. It's 4th and 1. You got to go do what you got to do. It's 1st and 10. I kind of know, knowing what your game is about, knowing how many people are around you, and knowing when to fight and not to fight. And that's becoming, a smarter player as well. But you're not really thinking about that until you're in the moment.
Did it take you a little bit to not think about it, or after?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said it didn't. But kind of a repetitive thing going out there. My faith is my foundation, and just honing in on that. Honing in, not having that anxiety, casting my cares on him, and the peace, transcends all understanding. So I'll repeat that, to myself, going out game by game, and then from there, that's out of my control.
Going back to the speed of the room, you mentioned maybe it's tipped in or maybe it's someone else. We know Olave and you are fast. Was there someone whose speed took you by surprise at all, or anyone you didn't realize had that?
You talk about Kev. Yeah, don't get it twisted. Said gonna open up that stride too. DP, Bubs. everybody. I really mean that. I'm not just saying that because they're my teammates, but there's always spurts out here when they get put in that position to be able to take the top off, and you're like, okay, he can roll too. So that's the beauty about the room.
Brandin, with all the different offenses you've run, now with Coach Moore, as far as opportunities, the yak yards after the catch. Have y'all talked about that as receiving group?
Yeah, that's going to be huge. That's going to be huge. You obviously look at the places that you've been, the guys that had success with the yak and his offenses. Obviously, that's leaned upon. It's going to be important, and the only way you do that is if you practice it. And when you practice it, it turns over to the game.
One more on the concussions. Sorry to bring that up again.
That was about 6-7 years ago, so I'm kind of behind that.
Right. It's actually, that's why I wanted to ask you. Do you think that those kind of injuries have more to do with kind of just luck than with technique or situational awareness then?
That's a great question. There's so many different types, right? I think it also can go into, mentally, how you approach and how you go on about your game. Like you said, it can be just one of those situations that you cannot control. But I think that's a deep question because there's so much that goes around it. Yeah.
And then on the Oregon thing, just obviously you have a lot of experience with that place. Was there anything, in terms of team bonding off the field that you love about Oregon that you wanted to share with the guys while they were there, such as a place with a nice mountain or ocean view?
Yeah, just getting outdoors. Obviously, I truly believe in the Northwest there's no better place in the summer. And so getting out on the lakes, some guys was water skiing, swimming out in the lakes, going out on hikes, things that some of them city boys probably not used to, but just showing them a different side of life that like I said, the Northwest, no one thinks of it as a place to visit, but in the summer I think it is.
Is there anyone that was definitely not an outdoors person?
No, I think everybody was willing. I think for a minute there, a couple of guys didn't want to jump in the lake, get their hair messed up. But it was one of those things like you ain't got no choice. But for the most part, everybody took part in into something that they probably, wasn't used to doing.
When you put that together, did you approach Tyler about doing that? Like, was there
each group? I mean,
okay,
each
coordinator of.
Yeah, like every person that's kind of coordinates their group and kind of came together and organized the dates, and then quarterback organized what routes he was going to run and whatnot. And then it was kind of a collective effort.
Right, and so I don't want it to be a comparison. So if you don't mind going through each of the three quarterbacks, what's something that you've liked and appreciated about Tyler, Spencer, and Jake now that you've gotten time to work with?
I think from Tyler's standpoint, just coming here, ready to compete and not worrying about all the outside noise, not worrying about if he makes a mistake or whatever the case may be, playing fast. You think, from Spence's standpoint, I think taking that extra step from the opportunities he got last year, showing his leadership capability throughout practice, and then Jake, not having much OTAs coming out here, just slinging it, and kind of same type of mindset, just not worrying about anything else, just playing his game. And so all together, what's similar, in my opinion, is their mind is right and they're approaching the situation at a high level.
When you talk about the outside noise, what do you say about the people who think of this? They're talking about the size of the receivers. Does it put a chip on y'all shoulder?
Man, I'm 5'9", I'm still here. You know what I mean? And so I think it's just at the end of the day, just play your game. Play your game. I mean, some of the best receivers is under that 6 foot that played this game. People won't talk. Everybody gonna have an opinion. But we gotta be able to prove ourselves right. It's not necessarily proving whomever wrong, it's proving yourself right that you're gonna play this game at a high level. And I think all of us is showing that throughout training camp. But obviously, it don't mean nothing until we do it in the game.
Brandon, I know you go way back with Keith. Yeah, how has this experience been finally?
It's been great. It's been awesome. He's gonna coach you tough. He's gonna bring the best out of you. He's gonna set that standard so high for each and every one of us. And so it's definitely been a blessing finally being able to play with him.
Has he given you a nickname yet?
Nah, no nickname.
Hey, Brandon, crazy that Cam Jordan's still here?
My only teammate that was here when I was here, so which is impressive. And still flying around, still goofy, still silly, still everything. And so it's definitely cool to see.
So you see more familiar faces in the media than you do in the locker room?
More in the media than in the locker room, absolutely, literally. I think there's just one player that I played when I was here. And that's
do you have a go-to hike that you like, that you wanted to take the guys on? Is it a certain mountain or anything like that? Or just...
Obviously, it's Columbia Gorge, obviously. Monoman Falls is obviously the go-to hike that you want to do out there, for sure.
I've never been, so I want to know in case I go.
Yeah.
What about the lake? Which lake did you
we just did Lake Oswego.
Yeah. You drove the boat during water skiing.
Not me. Not a player.
Not a player.
A friend with a boat.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to have
No. I got my SpongeBob license, though. Yeah. All right, y'all.